Hey, Lipsey Guns fans. It's Jason Klossner here, and we're to Aim Higher Podcast. I've got my really good friend, Joseph von Benedikt, and Morris Melani. Now, these guys came down. We've got a brand new Ruger exclusive rifle that we're launching, and these guys were kind of in on it from the beginning. And when they said the launches, we want to be down, we want to be part of this. And so Morris brought down some cool accessories for these guns, and Joseph's going to give us some insight on the usefulness of these mid boards that we're about to launch. So Joseph, Morris, thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys. You know, we've been waiting, about 9 months now to launch this rifle, and I'm glad we're finally here ready to do it.
No doubt. This is a really exciting project and one that I've been just all a tingle with since we first started talking about it.
Well, I think I had Joseph at 9.362 and 35 wheeling. He was in at that point. And then when we got to talking to Morris about this, and we were talking about the configuration. I mean, Morris is he's an Alaskan, and he knows all about Alaskan bush rifles and what they should and what they shouldn't be. And he perked up when we talked about the configuration here. So, Morris, you have Alaska Arms,
Correct.
And tell us a little bit about what you do up there.
I make accessories for Rugers, but one of my favorite cartridges is the 9.3. So I was pestering Joseph all the time. Is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? This is such a beautiful rifle, and there's so much rifle there for the money. So I just couldn't miss this.
So I guess let's talk about the rifle. We buried the lead there a little bit. So we've got the brand new Alaskan bush rifle. So it's a Ruger 77 classic controlled round feed. It's a brushed stainless steel finish with a 20-inch barrel, express sights, and a standard Hawkeye style black and gray laminate stock. So it doesn't have all the extra spacers and all the extra weight and thickness. It's a light trim rifle. These guns come in at about 7 3/4 pounds. They balance really, really well, and they're initially going to be offered in 35 Wheeling and 9.3x62. So you've got the classic mid bores that you can do a lot with. It seems like the mid bore stuff has been kind of on the increase as far as popularity. I know you've had a lot of interesting articles and episodes on your Backcountry Hunting Podcast about those cartridges.
I love a good mid-bore. I mean, the virtues of them are so profound that it's hard to overlook them, and yet we've managed to do that as Americans for a century or more. You know, the 375 H&H is a fantastic cartridge, and it kind of took our world by storm, and we've relied on that for really a century. It was designed in 1912. But the mid-bores, you get another round to 2 rounds in a standard magazine, and within 5 or 10% of the performance at 15 to 20% less recoil, a 9.3x62 or a 35 Whelen is a really, really sound choice for broad spectrum work in North America when you might be shooting anything from white-tailed deer right up through a coastal brown bear. Yeah. There's nothing you can't do with that cartridge on this continent.
Well, you know, and there's been a renewed interest in 35 Wheeling because of the perimeter weapon regulations in the South. So you've got, for a lot of states, including Louisiana, you can use 35 Wheeling as your primitive weapon in a single shot rifle. But what it also did was it made a lot of these manufacturers start offering some lighter bullet weights. So now you got Barnes makes like 180 grain tip triple shock, and there's some 200 grain fusion loads and stuff like that are really even, you know, within 350, 400 yards, make these guns pretty flat shooting compared to the 250 grain type stuff that originally 35 Wheeling was known for. So they're really a versatile thing. And I tell you what, they wallop deer like nobody's business. So, Morris, I know you talked about up in your part of the world, these cartridges are pretty much mainstay.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, they have fairly moderate recoil. They hit hard. And I'll tell you what, this really nice package. It's not too long in the barrel. It's not a threaded muzzle. You don't need a can on there to crawl through the pucker brush. You need to have a really clear, clean shot to see through it. But this is such a nice package, and it is 35 Wheeling was the guide's rifle. I mean, that's all they could afford back in the day, and so the guides and the assistant guides, that's what they had converted on 6s, and they did well with them. They did very well with them. So it's a good solid cartridge, and with these, you know, 100, 180, 200 grain bullets, like you said, they can reach out a long way, so it'd be good for a moose or something like that. It hits hard.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to find 375 H&Hs these days. There's not a lot of people making those true magnum length actions anymore.
Yeah.
Ruger hasn't done that in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to have a standard length, 0.6 size action, really 9.3x62 gives you basically 375 H&H performance in that standard size package. Shave a little weight, shave a little recoil, but Joseph, I know you have experience shooting Cape Buffalo with 9.3x62s, and they seem to be pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't shot a ton of Cape Buffalo, but I've shot a number, and the only one I've taken down with a single shot was with the 9.3x62, and it was the smallest cartridge of all those that I hunted with. Now, part of that was because as soon as I shot, this bull jumped behind a screen of brush, and I didn't have a follow-up opportunity, right? But what's really cool about this little rifle is that it, in many ways, mirrors my personal favorite 9.3x62, which is an old Dumoulin Mauser built probably more than 100 years ago, and it has a 20-inch barrel.
Oh, there you go.
And I was running Federal's factory-loaded 286 grain triple shocks and shot that bull facing straight on, right at the base of the neck there, 70 yards, went through, just took out the top of his heart, both lungs, killed him very quickly. It's a really, really efficient, very effective cartridge, and like you mentioned a couple times, just doesn't kick that much.
Yeah. Well, your son William used that cartridge quite a bit over there.
He did. So I had a 7x57 and the 9.3x62, and I had my daughter and my son William. And he tried the 7x57, shot a kudu with it, did great, and then he said, "I want to try the 9.3." He wouldn't let go of it after that. He was 13.
Oh, wow.
Shot it very comfortably, a whole string of perfect one-shot kills with it. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a great cartridge. When we first was kind of kicking around this idea, I was talking to Phil Shoemaker, who's a mutual friend of all of ours, and I kind of quizzed Phil on, hey, if we were to do something that was a true gun that was purpose-built for thick country where there can be dangerous, bears and stuff like that, what kind of parameters should I be looking at? And he pretty much laid out a 20-inch barrel, fairly lightweight, but not so light that you can't shoot it, and having express sights on it, and quick being able to put a scope on and off quickly. That's where Morse comes in really handy. And then 35 Wheeling is he's a big fan of 35 Wheeling, and of course obviously 9.3x62 as well. So we talked to a lot of guys who really spend a lot of time in the field with these type of guns, and that's why we kind of built it the way we did. Yeah, could we have just eked some more velocity with going a longer barrel? Sure. But then you lose that handiness, and honestly, these are not long-range guns. These guns are designed to put a lot of power on stuff, up close, personal, but also have the ability to reach out there if you need to, unlike a 4.58 or something like that. So I'm really excited about it. These guns are very shootable. I find the recoil on the 35 Wheelings are not that bad.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it really excited me a lot was that Phil got me in touch with Morris and filled me in on what all he's doing. And when he started talking about the accessories that Morris is offering for 77s, I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect for those. So right off the bat, Morris can increase your capacity on these rifles very easily. So Morris, why don't you grab that one that we kind of mocked up with some of your parts on there, and let's talk about what you're doing over there.
Well, start out with, it's a fantastic classic round. I did what Rigby did however many years ago, over 100 years ago, is we've just added 2 rounds to this. So instead of 4 down, you've gone to 6 down, which gives you, if you hunt with one in the chamber, you've got 7 rounds there. And that's all well and good. Now, when you get in the thick stuff, if you need your iron sights, you don't have any access to them with standard factory rings. And so now, with the detachable rings, your scope just pops off. And now you've got your iron sights are right there, right available. And if you're going into the really tight brush, your scope is useless. Get it out of the way.
Right.
Take off your sling, go for it. And so
you've got 7 shots
you've
of
got 7
9.3x62 or 35 Wheeling.
And
That is a magic number.
That
I'll tell
is
you
nice. That in a lot of ways, I always thought, the Merlin guide guns, in a short, handy lever action 4570 is such a great gun for the application. But now you've got a gun that actually has more capacity, more range, and
more authority,
and more camming power with that bolt. You know, you can, you know, that controlled round feed action, it's going to be very reliable. That's pretty awesome combination right there. When Phil was telling me about the capacity increase, I was like, oh man, that's all of a sudden way more interesting to have a 6+1 9.362 or 35 Wheeling, and I think it adds one round to the Magnums, like a 375 Ruger.
Correct, or any of the bolted Magnums as well.
Yeah, right. So that's a great feature. Now it doesn't come with the guns out of the box, but we're gonna have all of Morris's contact information, and I can promise you, my personal 35 Wheeling is gonna have that floor plate.
Oh yeah.
There, so.
I did some content with Morris close to a year ago or so with the African 35 Wheeling, right? And I put one of the extended capacity floor plates on there and the quick detach rings and so forth, and showed that off on my podcast, and had a lot of people kind of emulate that build. Had a guy take one to Africa, and he wrote me afterwards and he said, you know, we all hope we don't need 7 rounds on tap, but we're human. And at one point I did, and that final round in that 6+1 magazine made the difference for me. Oh, wow. And I was able to, you know, in a situation that got pretty Western, take care of business with that final round. I was like,
there
you
goes.
Can't say better than that.
Yeah, that's a great endorsement right there. And your scope rings, Morris, I mean, they're really, really nice. I mean, they are works of art. The throw levers on there are great. I love the fact that you've got 6 ring cap screws on there to really tighten that, you know, get that scope is going to be very secure in that setup. How's the repeatability from going off and on the gun?
Absolutely repeats, and I guarantee it. I've never had anybody that had one that didn't repeat. And so what I tell people to do is shoot a 3 or 5 or 10 shot group, whatever you like to do, whatever you can take from the bench, and then take the scope out between the next string, and you should have the exact same group.
That's awesome.
And you better have these, or something's wrong.
Yeah,
I've proved that out in my own testing too.
Yeah,
that's great. I mean, that just gives you so many more options. Plus, guys, that means you can have a second scope sighted in, because maybe you're doing a caribou / moose hunt or something like that, or a bear hunt, and you want maybe to have 2 different optics, or just have a backup optic. You're out in the middle of the bush somewhere, something goes wonky with it. Now you've got an extra scope sighted in.
Yeah,
seeing that a lot for guys going to Africa.
Yeah,
they bring their heavy bullet and a scope for that, and a scope for their lighter bullets.
Yeah,
you got it covered.
And anytime you're deep in the backcountry, having a backup scope is a good idea. I mean, these are already set up with backup iron sights, which is a beautiful thing. You're not going to go without a sight system if your scope breaks. But, you know, like you're saying, you can take 2 optics for different tasks. Maybe a mountain grizzly combined with a Dall sheep hunt.
Yeah.
With your 35 Wheeling, you know, you can hand load something like that 180 or a 200 grain Barnes triple shock or tip triple shock, something like that. Just some pretty good velocities in a 35 Wheeling. You can achieve 400, 450 yard capability with a good dial-up scope like this one that's on here, and yet also put in something like a 280 grain Swift A-frame.
Yeah.
For a brown bear up close and personal in the alders. Yeah, it's really versatile.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. And that's what I love about. I love rifles that you can just have multiple purposes for. They can really handle anything. And I think we're all the same ilk. I'd rather have a little bit too much gun than not enough anyways. And so, you know, these cartridges are really suited well for, I find personally that the larger medium bores handle the shorter barrels better. It seems like you don't lose the velocity that you do with the narrow diameter cartridges. So I'm really excited about this one. This is one that's kind of, you know, a lot of our exclusive guns are guns that we find it's a niche that needs to be filled, but maybe it's not necessarily that's something I really am into. This one was a little self-serving because I kind of wanted a 20-inch 35 Wheeling that was an all-weather gun, so I was a little biased on wanting to do this one. And then Morris just made it so much better with his accessories. So yeah, I'm really anxious to take this one out in the field. I know you guys are too. So Joseph, what's on the menu for you with this thing?
Oh, everything.
Last night at dinner, we were already planning 2027 safari. So
I would use either of these cartridges as a woods elk gun with just absolute pleasure. There's nothing that's going to be better. You got lots of rounds on tap, lots of authority. You can take a steeply raking shot with these cartridges if you need to. They're quick handling. Like you mentioned, they've got camming power in the action. And, folks, that means more than you may know. I guided for 9 years in Montana and southern Utah for elk and deer and mountain lion and so forth. And we had rifles freeze up in the field in Montana. We'd hunt a late season for elk. There was always snow. It was often below zero at night. You get a little bit of moisture in that action. Somehow it gets warmed up, and we had semi-autos and lever actions freeze up on us to where you couldn't function them.
Yeah.
Where with the bolt action, you can pretty much always horsepower that bolt open,
Right.
horsepower it shut if you need to, and get back in the game in really, really rigorous conditions.
And they're easy to maintain in the field, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason why I know people always ask, why didn't the U.S. military use Winchester 94s and stuff like that and around the turn of the century, and why they stick with bolt-action rifles? Because in battlefield conditions, bolt-action rifles are just more reliable and easier to maintain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, having the gun work is really priority one when we're talking about stuff that we'd be using these guns for.
Well, and just the way you've configured these, too, is, I mean, they're like a wheelbarrow in the best sense of the word, almost indestructible. You got the stainless with the satin finish. You've got an adjustable, but not as like the fixed adjustable sight, right? It's not the little flip up folding leaf.
Right.
Laminate stock, these can be glass bedded really easily and free floated really easily for those who are chasing the ultimate accuracy. I do that with mine just because I'm OCD.
Sure.
A little bit. This is a really, really rugged, durable configuration rifle. I think you guys knocked it out of the park.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I always like it when we can do something that's rugged and durable and handsome at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's always that aspect too, and I think this one kind of really put it together. We kind of had our idea was to make a bolt action version of the Merlin SBL. It's kind of the thought process.
That's kind of a cool approach.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where and those rear sights. A lot of people ask me all the time, is like, where can I buy those rear sights? And Ruger actually makes those in house.
That's
and
cool.
they're cut specific for the cartridge that it's made for. So that particular blade is made for the 35 Wheeling or the 9.362. The ones we've done in 275 Rigby in the past were cut for those. So. They're purpose driven. Now the front sights, they're easy to replace, so you can change the elevation and stuff like that. I know different companies make different height sights and stuff like that for it, but it's got that white bead front, so it's kind of got that classic kind of express rifle type setup, and they're pretty usable sights. They're very fast, they're very instinctive, and the comb on those guns is cut to where you can use them, and so it's. We tried to think of everything as far as making it a practical gun that you could use, and these Alaskan Arms parts, in my opinion, just make them just a little bit better. And I was watching Morris install that floor plate, and it's really pretty easy. It uses the same magazine spring and every follower. Yep. So there's when you get it, it's just a floor plate. Yep. All the other parts are the same, and trust me, these things have been tested by some of the true professionals out there that their lives stake on these things, and they work. So it's a great accessory for any 77, but to me they really, really are just going to be ideal for these Alaskan bush rifles.
Yeah, and anything that could potentially be used for dangerous game, I won't have a Ruger without Morris's floor plate on it and his quick detach rings anymore.
Yeah,
they're just so good and so effective at what they give you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, is there anything else you want to add? Any more final thoughts on?
My final thoughts are you've covered the whole field here. You've got the iron sights you can use, and they're bright. I wouldn't change that white sight out because when you're using it, it's you're not in the best of light conditions. You can now add the extra rounds, but it's a classic cartridge that you show up at camp with this, especially if you're being guided. A 9.3. You automatically have some respect because you know what you're doing. It's a great cartridge.
Your God might want to talk you out of it.
Over 100 years old. The price point is amazing, and it's a good travel rifle because it's got all these features, and you can afford to travel with it. And God forbid something happens, LIPSEY'S is still here. We can get another one.
That's right. That's right.
It's just the package. So well done.
Great. Thank you. Joseph, any final thoughts?
Man, I agree with Morris and would add that you guys have really stepped up and filled a niche demand with these controlled feed, robust, durable, properly configured guns that are really dangerous game capable. they're becoming scarcer. That genre of rifle is becoming more and more scarce on the market, especially at the price that your average guy can afford. And these guns are going to sell for, what did you tell us before we started? Around $1,400-1,500 or less?
They'll be less than that, yeah.
And they've got high-quality express-type iron sights. They're all stainless construction, durable laminate stock, that proven controlled feed action. You know, that's an extraordinary amount of value for the dollars you're spending. That's a really nice configured rifle.
Well, y'all's approval means a lot because I know you guys they're like me, you're other rifle snobs too. So it's always good to consult with the guys who will tell you your baby's ugly if it's ugly. You know? So, but it was funny last night at dinner. We were kind of lamenting the fact that there's not a lot of those kind of rifles really available anymore.
Yeah.
And you know, the used ones are getting harder to find, and they're not getting any less expensive. And now you can buy one off the shelf. You know you can take it, and it's this barrel diameter traditionally shoots really well. You know, Ruger makes their own barrels; they hammer forge their own barrels, and the Ruger barrels are pretty good. We've had really, really good luck with the African series guns. I know you've got one of our 35 Wheeling in the blue model, and I have had more people email or call or send pictures of their targets, consumers who bought those guns, that this gun shoots way better than it should. And I think that bore diameter barrel contour combination is kind of a sweet spot of harmonics.
Sure.
But it really shoots well. You know, we put the little bit faster twist in the 35 Wheeling, so it'll stabilize the heavier bullets. So we try to do everything to make these as versatile as we can. And so I'm really happy for them. I'm anxious to get these out on the market and people start getting them in the field and get the feedback. But Morris, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and find your accessories?
Sure. AlaskanArmsLLC.com. It's AlaskanArmsLLC.com. And if you have a question or something going on, a lot of guys just call me and say, "Hey, my Ruger's doing this." What don't hesitate to give me a call. I'll help you any way I can, and help you get your rifle set up. So, yeah, always available. Thank you.
Great, Joseph. You're everywhere.
How many ways do you want to find me? You know, the best way is probably on my podcast or through my writing. I write full-time, and then I podcast nearly full-time, so I'm a busy guy. But I write for Peterson's Hunting Magazine, Guns and Ammo Special Interest Publications, Shooting Times Magazine, and host the Backcountry Hunting Podcast, wherever your podcasts can be found, plus on YouTube. And recent venture, I'm booking hunts with recommended outfitters. So that's Global Hunting Adventures.
Oh, fantastic.
If you want to book a great hunt to Africa, Europe, wherever, we only represent outfitters that we've personally hunted with, and we're very, very confident you'll have a good experience. A lot of real adventure type stuff. You know, we kind of skirt away from the hunts where luxury becomes the focus rather than the hunt, and earning your game the right way. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, and I'm not just saying this because he's sitting here, but Joseph has the best hunting and rifle talk podcast out there.
Thank you.
Well, you know, you listen to a lot of these podcasts, and there's a lot of kind of just rambling, and it's kind of all over the place. Joseph's is very, you can tell he has an outline and he sticks to it, but it's also well researched. It's used off of experience. It's not just a bunch of theory. Joseph spends a lot of time in the field, and he is a real rifle and cartridge nerd, kind of like me. we definitely chilled the first time we met about that stuff, but his podcast is great. It's the only one I consistently, when it drops on Friday morning, it's in my truck when I'm riding to work that morning. It's really, really good. He's got an awesome collaboration on knives with Simbita Custom Knives.
Yeah.
His Northern Strike knife is fantastic. So it's worth listening to the podcast just to be on the front end of those knife drops. Go check Simbita Custom Knives out as well. I don't think you'll be disappointed there. But Joseph, he's, one of the true modern great gun writers of today, and so we're glad to have him here, and we really enjoy the time, the feedback that both of you guys have given us on this project. So there it is, guys. This is the new Ruger Alaskan bush rifle. It's the latest LIPSEY'S exclusive. The initial launch will be 9 3x62s and 35 Whelans. These go great, like we think they will. There might be other cartridges going in the future. Let us know if there's something else you'd like to see in these guns. But they are actually they're going to be available now. So go to your dealer, go to LIPSEY'S.com, check out the dealer finder, find a dealer in your area. If you put in your zip code and that dealer pops up, that means they're set up to buy from us. They're ready to go. Get one of these on order and get them in the field and send us back pictures and feedback on how they shoot for you, what you shot with them, what loads you've used. We're always interested to hear consumer feedback and how these guns are working out. So go check them out. We're really excited about them. Stay tuned for more product launches this year. And until next time, aim higher.